I'm the main guy. Do you know what I mean? I'm probably going to be the next Liverpool captain, homegrown. Everyone loves me. I don't really have to fucking try. When things are not going my way, I can just walk back.
That's what annoys me.
In
So
that
we can
Napoli
get that
game,
back,
the
but
geezer's fucking walking, bro. Like you're seeing him just
oh,
walking.
I
There was
saw
one
you watch
time, yeah,
my match reaction to that Napoli game as well, lad. Oh, I saw that.
bro,
Just watching
blame
that
the
back
chat,
was
you know,
pain.
because they sent it to me and they were like, "Yo, man, have you
Oh, of
seen this?" And
course
I
it
was,
was the chat. Of course it was the chat. It's like when you get in trouble and it's like, oh, who snitched? Of course it was the little brother. Of course it was the chat who told you to watch the
it's the
fucking
chat,
video.
bro.
If you're going to be careless when it comes to the type of passes that you're making and the timing of those passes, you're ruining the fluidity within the squad. And
Facts.
Trent needs to just sit back, and I do think we need to drop him.
Yo, people, what you telling me? Back again, back to back. My guy Redmond's in the building. What you telling me, bro?
Have you done a back-to-back?
Yeah, bro. This is
Who
what
have
we're
you just
doing,
been
bro.
live with?
I was just live with Bills, man. Well, my
Ah,
skipper
nice.
from
Nice.
futsal, you get me? So yeah, bro. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, man's been here. Man's been here since 4 o'clock, bro. What you telling me, bro?
So, do you know when you sit down for dead long, no, don't you reckon your bum gets a bit, like, smudgy when you
No,
sit
I'm all
down for
right,
ages
you
doing
know.
it? Are
I'm
you
all right,
crusty?
bro. It's a great seat, bro. I can't lie.
Might
It's
just be
mad
a Redmond
comfortable.
thing. Might just be a
Yeah,
Redmond thing.
bro.
You
I'm
know, lads,
comfy, bro.
brilliant. I'm brilliant, lads. Do you know what as well? We've won a football match. Can you imagine? Liverpool Football Club have finally gone ahead and being able to get 3 glorious points. Even though we're in the Prem, there were still 3 glorious points against a well-structured team with a semi-decent performance. So, lads, you get me in a better mood than what you'd have done in previous shows. Let's just say
You're
that.
getting
We've
your
probably...
players back. Getting your players back. Tiago's back, innit?
Yes, yeah, and he hasn't gone to Spain. Spain haven't called him up, thank fuck. Like, you see a lot of
Yeah,
Liverpool
they
fans
don't call him up. I don't
complaining,
know why, bro. Why are you
oh, Liverpool,
complaining,
like
bro?
Liverpool,
Sancho
oh,
didn't get called up. I was celebrating, and Rashford didn't get called up. I was like, yes, bloody brilliant.
you shouldn't want them to be going out to a pointless international break where the World Cup's in a couple of months anyway,
Mm.
and for the possibility of them getting injured. I think we've got like 11 players who are going out on international duty, so I'm sound with that. If you told me that there was none, I'd be even happier.
No, 100%. No, we don't need none of that nonsense. I'll be completely honest, bro. Like
Nah, shot them
with the
countries,
World Cup,
bro.
yeah, the worst fucking thing that you want when you've got 2 games a week, sometimes 3 games in 10 days or 3 games in 9 days. You do not want your players going out and getting injured on international duty. You don't want that.
No, not in the position that we've been in as well. Like, I never like to use the injury card too much, but whether you like it or we don't, we've had injuries and they've been significant ones.
Mm.
Therefore, I do not want to see any players going out on international duty and getting that same injury because I will be pissed off. And there's still that possibility because we've still got players out, but we with the base that we've built against Ajax, and I know it's only one game, but it's something to build off of at least.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing that you need is a bunch of players going out and getting a long-term injury, lad. So, quite frankly, say what you want. I don't care about international duty. I think it's always been pointless. I think they give the players way too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, the only thing that I'm devastated about is that there's not going to be any football and that we can't play that next match as soon as. But that's what it is. Also, lads, you need to tell your chat to get Henderson out their brains. You're thinking about that man way too much, chat. You're thinking about him way too much. Honestly, I like the way that
Is he
Henderson
injured?
has always got. I like the way he's always got accommodation inside your chat's brain cells. But yeah, he's injured. He's injured.
What's he done? Because he's been out
Unfortunately,
for a while, hasn't he?
I
He's
don't
been
know.
out for time. I
Nah,
haven't
he's
seen him
hurt.
play. Has he
He's
played
hurt
this
his
season?
hamstring.
He's been out for a while, isn't he?
Yeah, he's played this season, just not very well.
Yeah.
But no, but nah, he's got a hamstring injury. Bless him. Our captain, lad, one of the greatest midfield. I'm only messing. I won't do it today.
Oh,
I won't do it today.
mate.
But honestly, though, you need to make sure that you sort your chat out because thinking about one man way too much, and I think that's a bit
It's not
too
his
bizarre.
fault though,
It's not good
Henderson.
to obsess over people.
He's getting on. Like in all fairness to him, yeah, Liverpool shouldn't still be relying on him or Milner at their age.
100%.
Shouldn't be
100%.
relying. Them man should be in there
Jordan
for the
Henderson should be what James Milner is, or what Jurgen Klopp is
100%.
trying to keep James Milner being. That's what Henderson
100%.
should be now. The
He should be
rotation.
there. He should be there to kind of keep everything together in the changing room. Just be that player between the manager and the players. Do you know what I mean? And a senior figure, but he shouldn't be playing every week. Like he shouldn't.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've been saying it for weeks as well, that it's very simple to sit there and say, like, we need a new midfielder, and I 100% agree that we do. But if Thiago's playing and Fabinho's playing, then already you've got a significantly much better midfield. We saw it against Napoli when Thiago came on. Listen, I don't know how much of an achievement it is to not concede when he comes on the pitch, but we didn't concede after he came on. We controlled the game a little bit more. They weren't breaking us apart as easily. And then against Ajax, it was just a very repeat pattern. Someone who came in, dictated the midfield, clearly had more quality than all them Ajax midfielders as well, which is why we were able to dominate the midfield battle for larger parts of the game than what we've seen recently. So I made up Thiago's back. The only thing that stops him from being one of the greatest Liverpool players to ever play for my football club is simply that injury record. That's because technical ability, he's top 3.
He's one of the best players you've ever seen in that shirt, bro. Like, definitely, easily, he's one of the best players technically to play in the Premier League. Full stop. But the thing is, it's injuries, and that's the reason why it didn't work out for him as much. Obviously, he done well at Barca, but he never hit the heights that people expected because of injuries. And then
I can allow him for Barca because he had that midfield above him where it was just an irreplaceable midfield, at least.
No, but to be honest, if he could stay fit, he would still be there because he's that good. Like, make no mistake about it. Like, that's his club, innit?
Well, if Sergi Roberto's still at Barcelona, then I'm sure Thiago could have stayed there as well.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he could have still stayed there, bro. If he could have stayed fit and really, really put pressure on these guys, he could have forced his way into that midfield because he's got everything in it. Like, he's got everything. And people talk about Thiago like he's got a bit of skills and that. Like, he's a tenacious tackler. He works. He's got work rate. He's got everything. He isn't just one of them YouTube ballers. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of people see Thiago and they might see compilations of him and you don't see the tackling. You don't see the work rate. You don't see that. All you see is him doing elasticos and shit. And people think, oh, Thiago just does elasticos, bro. No. Like, the guy is a proper industrious midfielder as well as being a guy that can control the tempo of a game. But his injury record, unfortunately, is just not very good.
Couldn't agree more. And do you know what? I think the last game really shown against Ajax, the last game really shown who our best players are. And it's unfortunate because they're some of the most injury-prone players. Joel Matip, I've been saying, has been the best centre-back at the club for the past 2 seasons. No doubt when he's been playing. And I thought Verge had a really good year last year, but I still thought Matip was better. I think Matip has been absolutely incredible when he plays. The one thing that I've mentioned on this show on my channel is how much he carries the ball out from the back and how much of a difference that makes, because it's one extra player that you have to worry about. It gives a chance for the players at the attack to create more space for each other. It's really good to have that option, mate. And then when Thiago comes back into the team again, it's that same principle. It's breaking the play. It's not just spraying the fancy passes, but making the smart passes, making the right passes. Someone who's going to look over the shoulder before they receive the ball. So I really think of Thiago as one of the most essential players. Without him, you're looking at us probably comfortably getting top 4. Without him, it's a very different story because, again, that play it's everything that keeps the team together. You can have an okay back line, you can have an okay attack, but if you haven't got the thing in the middle that's going to be solving it, then you're not going to be winning football matches. That's where football games are won, is right there in that department. So to see those two back and put in the performances that they have, like, I've been seeing people, Liverpool fans, let me know what you think about this, saying Kanate over Joel Matip. Now, Kanate's injured at the moment, and I just think it's absolutely ludicrous. Not to say that Kanate deserves a start. If Verge puts up the form that he's been putting up at the start of the season for the next couple of games, then you can contemplate that. But as long, Rants, as Joel Matip is fit, you have to play that amazing giraffe from Cameroon on that fit pitch week in, week out.
You're right. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. Stylistically, like someone said, I've never seen Virgil dribble. Virgil don't dribble, and this is why Matip is so important. Like, Matip can play next to Konate, but Konate and Virgil together is not balanced, bro. Like, it's not balanced at all because Konate is not great on the ball, and who's going to play in the left? Virgil will play left centre back, but it doesn't make sense. Matip gives you that left foot, that balance, but also the way he carries the ball out, and that's why I said to Man United fans, it was the same when we started the game without Lissandro, and then Lissandro came on at half time. Lissandro does what Matip does. They step out from the back here. They break the lines with the ball at their feet, and they open the pitch up. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's what they do. Like they drop the shoulder, they carry the ball out, and when they do carry the ball out, all of a sudden your midfielders can move and the pitch is stretched, and you've got an
Yes.
extra man in the midfield, bro. So now your midfielder that's there can maybe pick up a position in a half space and stretch people. And when you don't have defenders that can step into the midfield, yeah, where like when Man United play with Harry Maguire and Varane, this is where we have the problem. And then you got defenders trying to play long passes because the midfield's too congested and they give the ball away, or they get caught on the ball and then you're fucking defending. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's what Lissandro does. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you want to play a high line like Liverpool do, you need defenders that are good on the ball because they need to join into the midfield.
100%. And one last point to add on top of that is how much more effective it makes you in the possession of play. So Liverpool, you know, I remember people were making the arguments against United, but we have more possession. We never done nothing with it. So it doesn't really matter, does it? When you've got someone like what you've just said, a centre-back who can play it out from the back, create more space for the midfielders, create more space for the attackers, just that extra option and that extra threat that you've got to worry about, especially someone as good as Matip. At first, when I used to see Matip start off his runs and this little trend that he's got going of going out from the back, I used to think it was just luck. Oh, he's tried running out once, it's worked out. Oh, he's done it again, fair enough, because he just looks lanky. He doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. He looks like that kid who's never kicked a ball, but gets the ball the first time and somehow scores an amazing goal after an amazing run. Just because
he's got a proper like... He's got a proper like languid kind of style. He just looks like he's
an unorthodox,
all over the place.
An unorthodox type dribbler is what we'll call.
He looks like he's off balance, but like he's in control of what he's doing. But it kind of looks awkward, innit? Now that's what it is. But like, bro, he's proper. He's a proper footballer. Like you can see that he's got a picture in his head when he carries the ball out. And obviously, when you've got someone like him, and then you've got someone in Thiago as well, spacing the pitch out, it makes a massive difference. Especially if you do want to play a high line. Like if you want to play a low block, you don't really need ball playing players. That's why Harry Maguire stole a living at Leicester. In a back three, low block, no one can really get in behind you. And then people started thinking he's a ball player because he was taking the ball off the keeper and passing it to the left back. Like when you're playing a high line and you need to win the ball highly, you need to win the ball high and then you've got pressure on the ball. You need defenders that can go past people and be calm on the ball, and pick people out. And that's what Matip gives you, innit? And that's what players like Maguire and that don't give you. Konate and Virgil doesn't give you that balance when you play the high line. But Konate's got crazy recovery pace. That's the only thing.
That's the thing that you've just met, balance. And that's the thing. Joel Matip brings the tenacity to the game that Virgil van Dijk either doesn't have no more or never really had. He's always been a player that likes to sit off. He likes to try and read the attacker. And it just hasn't worked out for him recently. When you get Joel Matip in there, like you said, he brings the balance. He is someone who will actually step out, put a little bit of pressure underneath the opposition, but still do it to a point where 9 times out of 10, he'll win the tackle. There might be the odd time where you beat him for a man, so it can be a bit more glorified than when Virgil van Dijk makes a mistake, or it can be more often when Virgil van Dijk makes a mistake. But that's only because the job's more risky. When you're having to be the one to take that step forward and put the attacker under pressure, it's a more risky job, so you're going to make more mistakes. But it's very rare you see Joel Matip make a mistake or be the main cause leading towards a goal. He's reliable, not in terms of fitness, but in terms of being, when he is on the pitch, you know what you're getting out of him. You know that he's going to be good on the ball. You know he's going to be able to read the game well. And like I said, mate, we are a much better football team for having him in it. So him coming back into the team was massive. Thiago coming back into the team was massive. And you know the blessing when you get these injuries? You know, like when Klein got injured, that gave the chance for Trent to come through. I'm going to talk about Trent in a minute, by the way. And so on and so forth. The one thing that I'll always have a go with Jurgen Klopp, and I don't think it's a bad thing the majority of the time, but in times like this, it can be very detrimental. And it's when you have too much trust in certain players. Hence why you're going with a James Milner over someone like Arthur, who, regardless of his performances over the past couple of seasons, is probably going to be more at the level of what we want to play than what James Milner is in a technical manner.
Yeah.
Yet you're still going with James Milner because he's the more trustworthy option. Now, seeing Robertson get injured for this game, and I think Robertson's been poor, but I don't think he's been the worst player out of the bunch. But seeing Tsimikas get given that chance, and any time I've saw Kostas Tsimikas play, he's been very sound, Rants. And again, against Ajax, he was brilliant. Defensively, he was solid, putting the balls into the box. And I think he has actually more precision coming to his crosses than what Robertson does. The only thing I think he lacks is the energy, really.
Yeah, he ain't got the explosiveness of Robbo. Robbo's like a top-level athlete. Like, he's a pro. Like, he could play box-to-box, Robbo, like, easy. Do you know what I mean? He's just got an engine.
that shows the case study of having two really, really good players who are very good at a very similar thing, which suits your style of play, which is going forward and putting balls into the box. But they're also different players in many ways. And to have that balance of when Robbo's not there, you've got a top-class left-back to fill in. That really should show all the more, not going to go into the FSG stuff today, but it should show all the more how important it is to have squad depth. And it doesn't matter if you have a slightly oversized squad. For moments like that, it really works out. And Kostas Tsimikas is someone who I want to see more of. At right back, sorry if you can hear the Icy Man, by the way, he's came about 4 times today, you know what I mean? With an autumn, mate. What's he doing? What's he doing? We're in the north of Liverpool and he's came for the 4th time and it's only, what, R5? That's an absolute joke. Get a life. But in the sense... Nice, I'm the ice cream man, to be fair. He's probably just told. Anyway, what I was going to say is about Trent. I've got to talk about him, Rants, because I'm not going to go into a big slander, and I'm not going to say like he's the worst that I've ever seen defensively, because he's not. But the one thing that he will bring, and will always bring, we need to stop this development. He's 24 now. There's not really much more development for someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's as good as he is, and going forward, he's ultimately world-class in my opinion. But in the rest of his game, it's very average. And that's the main word that comes to mind is inconsistent. There's one game where he can have a 7 out of 10 performance. One game that springs to mind is when we played Chelsea in the League Cup final, and Trent had a really, really good game. He was probably our strongest defender. But then he can go up against Crystal Palace, struggle against Zaha, and then boom, it's already mashed work. And the only time that it's really looked decent for Trent is when Hendo Nino, for all those in the chat who get triggered by it, you little pussies. No, go on. Say something now. Say something now. Say something now. Hendo Nino, he will be back, mate. He'll be back. I'm ready to do the James Milner role beautifully. But he was the one who was covered Trent all the time. Sensationally as well. And that allowed Trent to go forward. Didn't have to worry as much about the defensive duties. But the thing is, though, you've just got to realise that maybe balancing Trent's performances, so maybe sometimes putting him in midfield, or sometimes dropping him. I don't care if he's the Scouse kid and he's the superstar. I love Trent, but you can't just be playing him week in, week out for the sake of it, especially when you're coming up against tricky wingers. And I just think lazy is the word that comes to mind.
Yeah, bro, but that's what I'm saying. He's not hungry no more. Trent, reminds me of what Rashford has been for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the homegrown guy, everyone loves him. And it's almost like these guys are bought into the hype about themselves and just stop trying. Like Trent's not tracking back no more. He's walking. Rashford was doing the same thing. Rashford's not pressing. He's just walking. This season, he's been a little bit better because we got a new manager that's literally put a rocket up him. But for the last 2-3 years, Rashford's been pedestrian, walking around like below average performances, do you know what I mean? And getting all this PR off the pitch and all this bollocks, but not really performing on the pitch. And with Trent, it just looks like he's not hungry no more, bro. It looks like I'm the main guy. Do you know what I mean? I'm probably going to be the next Liverpool captain, homegrown. Everyone loves me. I don't really have to fucking try. When things are not going my way, I can just walk
That's
back.
what annoys me.
In that Napoli game, Jesus fucking walking, bro. Like, you're seeing him just walking.
I saw you watch my match reaction to that Napoli game as well, lad. I saw that.
Bro,
just watching that
the
back
chat, you know,
pain.
because they sent it to me and they were like, "Yo, man, have you seen
of course
this?"
It was the chat. Of course it was the chat. It's like when you get in trouble and it's like, oh, who snitched? Of course it was the little brother. Of course it was the chat who told you to watch the
chat,
video,
bro. And you know what the worst thing about it is in that Napoli game? There was one time I was watching a game and I said to the chat, I said, "Is Trent on the pitch?" Because Napoli were breaking down the right-hand side and Trent wasn't even in the camera shot. And then when you won the ball back, Trent was in centre mid. I was like, so hold on. So we lost the ball and just decided that he just wasn't going to get back. Now you're just walking. And I was thinking, hold on, he's playing attacking midfield, bro. Like, and you're losing. Yeah. And I was thinking, and this can't be the manager telling him to do that.
Oh, you're there in games. Did you see that bit in the match reaction where they go, Trent? And I scream his name. Do you know that's all you hear inside of Anfield nowadays? Trent!
Yeah.
Trent! And it's just, it's that effort, it's that tenacity. You don't have to be the best defender in the world when you're as good at going forward as what you are. And when you've got a team who is in, you know, a cohesive unit where you're controlling the ball all the time, believe me, it's a very good thing to have a player like Trent in that side. And even at the cost of him possibly making a mistake, but when you're not even going to put effort, fucking hell, you go on from a 7 out of 10 defender on your very best day to a fucking meaty 2 or 3. And again, that best day doesn't come enough even when he's in form. The thing is, when you take Trent out the team, you probably lose a lot more than if leaving him in there, you probably benefit a lot more than if you take him out. But right now, when you're not even putting in the effort, you're just making passes for the fucking sake of it, which is being stupid, by the way. Such careless decision making when it comes to the passing. I don't care how good you are with your passing technique. If you're going to be careless when it comes to the type of passes that you're making and the timing of those passes, you're ruining the fluidity within the squad. Fair. And Trent needs to just sit back, and I do think we need to drop him.